Okay, so good day everyone. So welcome to our session on human resource management and professional development in schools. In every educational institution, people are the greatest asset. Teachers, administrators, and staff collectively shape the learning environment and drive student success. And this topic focuses on how effective human resource management ensures that schools attract, develop, and retain competent educators while promoting continuous growth through professional development programs. Human resource management in education is not just about recruitment and payroll. It is about building a culture of excellence, collaboration, and lifelong learning. So through investing in teacher training, mentoring, and career advancement, our schools become stronger, more adaptive, and more capable of meeting the demands of 21st century education. So before we go deeper into our discussion, let us watch a short video presentation that highlights the importance of human resource management and continuous professional development in schools. The video will show how human resource practices such as staff motivation, leadership support, and school as enhancement directly influence teaching quality, organizational climate, and overall school performance. Okay, let's play the video presentation now. Okay.
Okay, so good day everyone. So today I will be reporting human resource management and professional development in schools. It includes the following subtopics: professional learning community, recruitment and hiring, training needs assessment, school learning action sessions, or conducting effective meetings, motivating teachers for peak performance. So let's have first a short introduction. Effective human resource management or HRM and professional development or PD are central to improving teaching quality and student outcomes. In an educational leadership setup, HRM is not only hiring and payroll. It's strategic workforce planning, talent development, and creating conditions for teachers to grow professionally. Professional development or PD should be job embedded, data informed, collaborative, and focused on measurable changes in classroom practice and learner outcomes. So let's start first with the professional learning community or PLC. So it says here, a PLC is a structured, ongoing group of educators who collaborate to improve teaching and learning. The unit of analysis is student learning. PLCs systematically examine student work and assessment data, try instructional strategies, and hold each other accountable for results. So under PLC, there are different essential elements. So we have first shared mission and goals focused on student learning. Second, collaborative teams like grade level, subject area, or multidisciplinary. Third one, assessment or data focus, common formative assessments or result analysis. Fourth, continuous improvement cycle, like we have PDSA or inquiry cycle. So we have the plan, do, study, and act. Fifth one, supportive leadership and protected time. And then the last one for our essential elements under PLC or professional learning community, norms and protocols for meetings. There should be agenda, there should be roles, there should be norms, and there should be data protocols. And as for the structure and implementation steps, first one, create shared goals. Like for example, increase the percentage of grade 6 students meeting reading benchmark by 10%. Second one, set meeting schedule and protect time like regular, short blocks, or for example, 45 to 60 minutes per week. Third one, agree norms and protocols. Let's say, for example, uh, protocols for punctuality, evidence-based discussions, and confidentiality. Fourth one, adapt a data protocol. So look for student work or rubric-based review. Fifth one, run inquiry cycles, like identify the problem, create strategy or lesson, implement, collect data, and then analyze, and then refine. Number six or sixth, document artifacts, like you should have documented your lesson plans. What else? Student samples, minutes of meetings, and action items. And the last one, for structure and implementation steps, scale successes, and integrate into school PD. So let's know the roles and leadership and success indicators under the professional learning community. So for the roles and leadership, we have the school principal or school head. So they are the ones to secure time, resources, coaching, and monitors fidelity. We also have PLC leader or facilitator. So they manage agenda, they keep team focused on learning outcomes. And then also the teachers. They bring data, they try strategies, and they reflect honesty. And we also have the success indicators, as I have mentioned a while ago. So what to measure for professional learning community or PLC? So we have here success indicators like student outcomes on common assessments. What else? Teacher use of evidence-based practices, teacher collaboration frequency and quality, and documented changes in instruction. So that's all for professional learning community. So let's proceed to the next one, recruitment and hiring. Recruitment and hiring are about finding people whose competencies and values align with the school's mission. Hiring should target not only subject knowledge, but also classroom practice, collaboration, and a growth mindset. So as for workforce planning and job design under the recruitment and hiring, we should analyze staffing needs by grade or by subject, anticipated retirements or movements, and program expansions. We should also write clear job descriptions with competencies, with responsibilities, and success indicators. Like for example, we can include can design formative assessments and use results to plan interventions. And as for resourcing and outreach naman, of course, we have internal promotions, partnerships with teacher colleges, alumni networks, what else? Social media, and different job fairs. So we can also use talent pipelines like pre-service student teachers, substitute pools, and grow your own program. And also, part of the recruitment and hiring is the selection process. So these are the recommended steps for selection process. So first step, job posting with competency-based criteria. Second step, screening. So we have the curriculum vitae rubric, short phone screening, something like that. And third one, selection tasks. So teaching that could be teaching demonstration or lesson plan, situational judgment test, and also part din dito yung portfolio review. Fourth step, after the selection task, is the structured interviews. Under this one, there should be competency-based questions and scoring rubric. Fourth one, reference and background checks. And then the last one, offer, and onboarding. So there should be clear expectations plus induction plan. So those are the recommended steps for this selection process. And as for the ano naman, as for the structured interview and scoring, under the recruitment and hiring, we should use rubrics like 1 to 4 scale across competencies: content knowledge, instructional planning, classroom management, differentiation, collaboration. And multiple interviewers and press card responses reduce bias. And as for the onboarding and induction naman, we should provide a 90-day induction with mentor, observation schedule, professional development plan, check-ins. So this should be 30, 60, or 90 days. So that is for recruitment and hiring. It is not just about payroll, and it is not just about picking people or random people. You should find people whose competencies and values aligned with the school's mission. So that is recruitment and hiring. Next, training needs assessment, or yung tinatawag nating TNA. Sabi dyan, TNA identifies gaps between current teacher competencies or practices and those required to achieve school goals. So professional development investments are targeted and effective. So under the training needs assessment, or TNA, we have 3 levels of analysis. First level, organizational. It answers the questions: what does the school need to achieve? Let's say, for example, the school need to achieve higher literacy rates. So that's for organizational level. So what about the second one, task? So what specific teacher task drive that outcome? Let's say, for example, is it because of the formative assessment? Is it phonics instruction? Something like that. And then the third level, excuse me, person, or the person. Who needs what training? Is it the new teacher or the experienced teacher, or is there a subject gap between the subject teacher, between the experienced teacher and the new teacher? So those are the 3 levels of analysis under the training needs assessment, or TNA. So how to gather your data, or uh, how to collect your data. So under this one, we have different data collection methods, or we have the practical means. So first one, surveys or self-assessment. You should include, or you should identify the teacher perceived needs. Second one, classroom observations and walkthroughs, or evidence of practice. Third one, student achievement data and common assessments. Fourth one, focus groups or interviews with teachers. And the last one, performance reviews and professional development history. So those are the methods on how are you going to collect data. Could be through survey, through observations, through student achievement data, through interview, or through reviewing their performances. Next, we also have here under the TNA, or Training Needs Assessment, meron din tayong tinatawag na prioritization frame, which means the map needs on an impact and feasibility matrix. High impact and high feasibility, meaning to say immediate priority. Also, we should consider the cost, the time, and the strategic fit of the company. Now, how are we going to design implications? First one, define learning objectives aligned to goals or yung tinatawag nating SMART. Choose mode, or we could also consider the workshop and the coaching, job embedded coaching. We can also have LAC or lesson study, online micro modules, and build follow through or coaching cycles, classroom visits. Okay, next. Aside from the training needs assessment, we also have school learning action sessions or LAC. Sabi dyan, learning action cells or LAC are short, regular, school-based collaborative sessions where teachers examine, practice, try strategies, and reflect. They are job-embedded professional development sessions typically aligned to classroom problems. Okay, so under the LAC or the Learning Action Cells or the School Learning Action Sessions, it includes core features and processes. First one, regular short meetings. Let's say, for example, weekly or bi-weekly. You should also include the time. Is it 60 minutes or 90 minutes allotment per week? Next, focus on a concrete classroom problem. Like you should focus on student engagement in science or student learning in math or the status of different students in a specific subject. And next is the cycle. So first, you should identify the issue. Second one, plan strategy. Third, implement in class. And then the fourth one, observe or collect evidence. And the last cycle for number three is reflect and refine. There should be cycle. And after reflect and refine, you should go back to the first step, which is identify the issue. Hanggang sa matapos or hanggang sa ma-resolve yung conflict. Number four, or the fourth one, facilitation by a teacher, leader, or instructional coach. And then the fifth one, documentation in LAC logbook, or we should have lesson notes, evidence, and action steps. Next, for LAC, we have the implementation steps. So how are we going to implement or to conduct learning action cells or LAC sessions in our school? So first one, secure schedule and administrative support. Second one, train facilitators in reflective protocols. Third one, use a simple template like you should include the issue. Next, evidence. You should also include the strategy, classroom evidence, and then the reflection, and then the following steps. So number four, share successes in staff meetings and PLCs. So yan yung process or steps kung paano nga ba natin i-implement or isagawa yung LAC sessions. So how are we going to measure the success of LAC or LAC sessions? Of course, we have success metrics. We can use the teacher-reported application of strategies, artifacts in LAC logbook. That's why logbook is very important. Measurable changes in student performance on targeted assessment. Kumbaga, dapat gumagalaw yung yung na-identify natin issue during LAC sessions. Next, conducting effective meetings. Sabi dyan, conducting an effective meeting means organizing and facilitating a discussion where the objectives are clear, the agenda is followed. Participants are engaged and the desired outcomes are achieved within the given time. So why meetings fail in the first place? Because there is no clear purpose, right? There's no pre-work. Poor facilitation. What else? And no follow-up. And when we say effective meetings kasi, they are just, excuse me, they are just short, di ba? Outcome focused and produce clear next steps. So, so under the conducting effective meetings, let us know the different key principles for it. So first one, purpose first. Diba? Every meeting must have a clear outcome. Is it to inform or decide, problem solve, or you have to plan? So the first one is purpose first. Second, agenda and priorities. So you should distribute agenda and any documents 24 to 48 hours ahead para ma-inform naman yung mga tao. Number three, time boxing. You should allocate strict time for each agenda item. Let's say, for example, for this first agenda, we can allocate 30 minutes. We can allocate 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, proceed tayo sa next agenda. So that is time boxing. Number four, define the roles. You should identify the facilitator, you should identify the timekeeper, and so on and so forth. Number five, decision rules. You have, under this one, we have the consensus versus majority versus delegated authority. And then the sixth one, document action items with owners and deadlines. And then the last key principle is follow up. We have the share minutes and track completion. Kung ano na bang nangyari dun sa agenda natin during meeting, you should follow up the result. Next. Okay, so motivating teachers for peak performance. Sabi dyan, conducting an effective meeting means organizing and facilitating. Naulat ata. Wait, hindi ko siya nailagay dyan sa ating PowerPoint presentation. May sabi dyan, motivation is both intrinsic, meaning to say, there should be meaning, mastery, autonomy, and can also be extrinsic, like recognition, like payment, or conditions. So in schools, di ba, intrinsic levers are especially powerful but must be supported with practical extrinsic supports. So we, under the motivating teachers for peak performance, we have the core levers for leaders. First one, autonomy and voice. So it involved teachers in curriculum choices, timetable tweaks, and professional development topics. Second one, mastery and growth. So it provide high quality professional development, coaching, career pathways like lead teacher, and coach. Third one, relatedness. So it builds collegial culture and trust. So regular peer observation or team pitching. Fourth one, recognition and meaningful incentives. So there should be public recognition, targeted resources, time rewards or yung planning time. And we also have small stipends for additional responsibilities. And number five, working conditions. So reasonable class sizes. It includes also manageable admin tasks and school logistics. And last one, or number six, feedback and appraisal. It should be regular. It should be growth-oriented classroom observations and constructive feedback tied to professional development. So yan yung ating core levers for leaders. And then, as for the practical interventions, or we have examples here, like we have peer coaching program. So under this one, teachers can observe each other and meet to reflect. Second one, teacher showcase, monthly assembly where teachers demonstrate an effective lesson strategy. So you can ask your teachers to showcase what they are doing inside their classroom. Like they can share their effective lesson strategy so that other teachers can also try or can also acquire their best practices. Third one, career ladder. Clear criteria to become a lead teacher or mentor with stipends. And the last one, well-being supports. There should be counseling, reasonable deadlines. So we can also include no meeting days under the well-being supports or well-being and supports. And I think if we add up, excuse me, I think if we add up these concepts for professional development, pwede tayong makapag-come up ng action plan. Pwede tayong makagawa ng sarili nating action plan and monitoring. So I have here an example of 90-day starter. Let's say for example, day 1 to 30, we can conduct TNA or training needs assessment through survey plus 10 classroom observation or 10 classroom walkthroughs. Excuse me. Set school professional development priorities. Create PLC groups and set meeting schedule. Advertise vacancies if any or kung meron man, and start screening. In that way, we can establish weekly LAC times. So that is for days 1 to 30. Now, what about for days 31 to 60 naman? Ano naman kayong gagawin natin? Di ba we're done with this start with the with day 1 to 30. Ano naman kaya yung gagawin natin for day 31 to 60? We can start PLC cycles and first LAC sessions. We can also prioritize professional development, workshop, and coaching. Ano pa? Implement improved meeting norms and templates. We can also start recruitment interviews and finalize hires. And we can also launch teacher recognition program. And for days 61 to 90 naman, ito na yung pinaka last part ng ating 90-day starter plan as action plan and monitoring. So yung gagawin naman natin for days 61 to 90, we should monitor professional development implementation through maybe pwedeng observations. Ano pa? Collect early evidence of change. Review and refine PLC or LAC facilitation. Onboard new hires and evaluate meeting effectiveness and adjust next quarter priorities. So, yan yung sinasabi kong pwede natin gawing 90-day starter plan or action plan if we add up these concepts for professional development. And if we are going to conduct this, if we are going to integrate or if we're going to have this action plan and monitoring, of course, hindi dapat mawawala yung ating KPI or key performance indicator. So ano nga ba yung pwede nating maging KPI or key performance indicator para masabi nag-succeed yung ating action plan and monitoring? First one, percentage of PLCs meeting weekly with minutes documented. Next, percent of teachers participating in coaching cycles. Next, new teacher retention rate at 90 days. Percent action items from meetings completed on time. And then next one is student outcome change on targeted assessments. And then the last one, teacher engagement survey average. So, yan yung kagandahan kapag alam nating gamitin or alam nating gawin or pagsamasamahin yung nabanggit natin for professional development. And kapag pinagsama-sama ka kapag pinagsama-sama kasi natin lang yung lahat ng yan, uh, first one, PLC can build collaborative culture. Yan yung kagandahan ng PLC. It can build collaborative culture. Next, recruitment ensures the right people are on board. TNA makes professional development targeted. Diba? LAC provides job-embedded learning. Effective meetings maximize time. The last one, excuse me, motivation strategies sustain performance. So kung lahat ng to is consistent, of course, teachers will feel na yung school ay hindi lang workplace. But of course, mako-consider nila to as community of growth. And kapag motivated at well-trained yung teachers, of course, automatic na mas mataas yung student learning outcomes. That's why yung tinatawag nating professional development and educational leadership contest, ito yung lahat ng structured activities, programs, or experiences na dinadaanan ng teacher and school staff para mas gumaling sa trabaho and at the same time, makasabay dun sa mga bagong practices. In short, professional development means learning for teachers para mas ma-improve nila yung learning ng students as well. So ano nga ba yung mga example ng professional development natin? Of course, seminar, di ba? Pwede kang umattend ng seminar or training about classroom management. What else? Participating in Learning Action Cell or LIC. Joining a workshop. Ano pa? Peer observation and feedback. And you can also enroll in graduate studies or online courses about leadership. So, di ba nga, kung yung mga student na, di ba, may learning goals, meron tayong sinaset na learning goals for them. Dapat, tayo din mismo sa ating sarili is meron. Di ba? Meron din dapat tayong sinaset na learning goals for ourselves. So, yung professional development, yung paraan para hindi tayo ma-stuck sa old practices. Like sa traditional practices. So, parang parang lifelong learning. Para siyang lifelong learning for teachers. Kaya sabi nga nila, the best teachers are also the best learners. So kinakailangan is panindigan natin yan. Okay, we're not just teaching the students, but also we must set ourselves as role models or best examples for them. I think that ends up my discussion for my topic. Thank you for listening.
Doc, okay na po. Nakamute po yata kayo, Doc.
Okay, so the video emphasized that effective human resource management in school goes beyond administrative functions. So it nurtures teachers as professionals and partners in achieving educational excellence. No, it showed that investing in professional development leads to improved teaching strategies, student outcomes, and institutional growth. So the collaboration between school leaders and teachers is essential in identifying training needs, setting clear performance goals, and fostering innovation in teaching practices. Finally, the video reminds us that when teachers are motivated, supported, and continuous learning, the entire school community strives. Human resource management therefore become a foundation for sustainable quality education and organizational resilience. So, wait. Okay, so again, human resource management in school plays an important role in ensuring that the right people are placed in the right position, to achieve the institution vision and mission. So it encompasses recruitment, no, selection, training, evaluation, and retention of teachers and staff who are not only skilled but also motivated to contribute to the holistic development of learners. A well-structured human resource management system creates a professional and supportive working environment that promotes collaboration, accountability, and continuous improvement among educators. So this ensures that every member of the school community aligns their performance with educational goals and student-centered outcomes. So the video presentation highlighted that effective human resource is more than just handling personal concern. No, it's about strategically managing human potential. Schools that prioritize human resource management focus on empowering teachers through mentoring, coaching, and performance appraisals that promote growth rather than compliance. So through capacity building programs and leadership training, teachers are equipped with updated pedagogical strategies and technology integration skills necessary for modern classrooms. No? The management rules in fostering trust, transparency, and communication also strengthens teamwork and positive organizational culture. So moreover, professional development serve as the cornerstone of teachers' quality and school excellence. Now, continuous training programs, seminars, and workshops allow educators to refine their instructional methods and adapt to emerging trends in education, such as digital learning and inclusive practices. Now, professional growth plans not only enhance competencies but also boost morale, motivation, and job satisfaction among teachers. So when schools invest in their people, they cultivate an environment that values innovation, reflective practice, and lifelong learning. A key ingredients for academic excellence is institutional success. So the presentation also underscore that importance of leadership support and collaboration. No, scholar leaders play a pivotal role, no, in identifying training needs, recognizing achievements, and encouraging participation in professional development initiatives. So when administrators act as a mentor and advocates for teachers, they foster a culture of empowerment that drives educational transformation. So human resource management practices grounded in fairness, inclusivity, and professional ethics ensure that every individual is respected, valued, and given equal opportunities for advancement. So in conclusion, again, human resource management and professional development are vital pillars of effective school governance. Together, they strengthen the teacher of competences, organizational efficiency, and overall educational quality. So the presentation reminded us that schools succeed not only through strong curricula and facilities, but through committed educators who are nurtured, developed, and inspired. Investing in people is investing in the future of education. One teacher, one student, and one school at a time. May God bless us all.